Now, because of queen takes b3 here on the horizon, black must capture on a2, and the critical move is now pawn to b4. In this position, white is of course threatening to capture this pawn, so it's time for that pawn to promote, and after the promotion, you have rook to b2. This move traps the queen here on a1. Now, the critical question once we've achieved all of this is what happens if black continues to shuffle with the king? How do we make progress? Well, the answer is that we can just shuffle. Black doesn't have any moves but king moves, and so eventually black is going to run out of king moves and is not going to be able to continue to block the b pawn, which marches up the board and will eventually become a new queen, and that will allow white to easily win the game and deliver checkmate. This next position features some of the same ideas as in the first example. That example showed us a position where white was up oodles of material, but it was very difficult to find a winning plan. Here we see a position where white must go down material, but will be able to hold with trap piece and fortress concepts. The computer is not very good at understanding trap pieces and fortresses. In the position, we see that white has two pieces under attack, the rook on a6 and the bishop on c5. There is no way to save both of these pieces, but it is not necessary to save the pieces to save the game. White can play the absolutely brilliant rook to c6. Here, the rook is defending the bishop, and the only way to really push for a win is to take that rook. Now white plays pawn to b4. The idea here is to trap the rook on b5. It can go nowhere, and white is able to shuffle the king between c7 and c8. Movements from the black king and black bishop will change nothing. However, there is a second stage here. Eventually, the rook is going to sacrifice itself for the bishop on c5. In that case, isn't the extra bishop that black has enough to win? It turns out no. There's still a fortress in the resulting position for white. Let's see how that can develop. So black is going to encroach with the king and shift the bishop around and eventually sacrifice on c5, again remaining a piece up in this position. However, here there's no way to get the white king out of the corner, and there's no way to activate this black king, which is restricted by the pawns and the white king. Of course, the bishop also can never attack the pawns that are on dark squares.